Good morning to anybody that can hear us. We're just going to give it a couple more minutes for a few more people to join, and then we'll get started. Right, I think we'll get started. So good morning, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to join today. We're going to take you through Contact for IPEX Cloud, understanding the opportunity. And today is the first of two webinars to help identify those contact opportunities and understand how the product can help close those deals and solve your customers' problems. So my name's Ed. I'm head of sales at Pragma. I know most of you that are joining today. And with us today, we've got Steve McSherry, who's the head of sales for the UK and for Daktela, our contact center partner. And we've got Graham Bunting, who's the UK partner channel manager over at Daktela. So they're going to be joining in part of the discussion and contributing today. So just housekeeping at the beginning, we've got Helen and Raf on the line from our marketing team and Andy, our product manager. So if you've got any questions, if you could post those in the chat for this, then they will be monitoring the questions, and we'll perhaps take some questions as we go and finish the rest of the questions at the end as well. So please post them in there, and people will be keeping an eye on that as we go through. So just before we get into Contact Center, I'm just going to start with a little reminder of our portfolio and the overview of the products within that and where Contact sits. So over the last 18 months, our portfolio has grown dramatically. I think I've worked with Ericsson LG for a long time, as many of you know. There's no doubt that our product portfolio is now at the strongest that it's ever been. There's all sorts of products we've added to the portfolio to make the offering more varied. And as you can see on the screen here, say yes to more customers, say yes to more deals, and win more business for you, our partners. And that's really put together by the main sort of 6 pillars in our product portfolio. I'm not going to go into a great deal of detail about any of these today other than Contact. But as some of you will be familiar, we have IPEX One, which is our web RTC client. New updates come into that again later this year. It's a product that's always evolving. We've got IPEX Analytics, which is Ericsson LG's own analytics, onboard and reporting software. Again, great roadmap, and more features will be added to this product throughout the year. Last year, we successfully launched Connect for IPEX Cloud, which is a version of our soft client all built around bespoke integrations. And already we've got a number of fantastic bespoke integrations that we've delivered through Connect that's enabled us to say yes and win deals that we wouldn't have been able to win previously. We also have Anywhere for IPEX Cloud, which is our integrated mobile offering where we can provide physical SIMs and eSIMs as an extension of the cloud platform on the mobile device, allowing your customers to use that mobile in its native manner and with no need for an application. We also added PCI for IPEX Cloud. So this is for any customer of yours that's taking credit card payments over the phone. It allows them to have a tier 1 PCI compliance service, and we can integrate to the top 12 UK payment service providers as well. And then finally, the purpose of today's webinar, we have Contact for IPEX Cloud. Again, this was added to our portfolio last year. And as I mentioned at the beginning, this is in partnership with the guys at Daktela. So Steve Graham representing Daktela today. So why did we work with Daktela? Well, Daktela have been going for 20 years. Their head office is in Prague in the Czech Republic, offices all across Europe, including 2 here in the UK. And when we were looking at a contact center partner to add to the IPEX portfolio, they ticked every box. The product's fantastic. The culture and the organization fits very well with us. So all round, it was a great fit. So today, as I said, we're going to take you through how to identify these opportunities, what questions to ask, and what we can do from there once we've identified the problems and the opportunities. So you've just seen that there's so many products in our portfolio. So the last thing that we want to do is confuse you, confuse the sale. It's intended to help you win more deals. So introducing more products into the proposal for the customer won't necessarily add cost and price you out of a deal if we approach it in the right way. We need to be confident in the solution we're proposing and with clear benefits to the customer and how it helps solve their problems. And we found that this then helps lead to a solution sale, which might mean the customer's happy to pay more. And that's what this webinar is all about. It's identifying those opportunities to add more value and solve your customers' problems. And there's a good point that Steve made in a conversation we were having yesterday. There's a huge market now of what we would describe as non-contact center customers. And we'll talk you through some examples later, some case studies of solutions we've delivered. And some of those customers are absolutely not what you would have thought was a contact center customer, but the way that their business is changing and evolving and the way they want to enhance communications with their customers in different ways means that the contact center market is bigger than ever before, because it's not just your traditional contact center customers that we can target and that are looking for this service. And finally, what we like about Contact is as your customer's business evolves and their needs change and the way they want to communicate with their customers changes and grows, we can add to the solution. It's a modular product which allows you to add things on as your customer evolves, which means the customer can grow with you and makes the customer more sticky, which ultimately is what we all want. So over the purpose of these two webinars, we want to really demystify the myths that contact centres are all large, that they're all complex. It really isn't the case. As we've just said, the market is changing and the opportunity is across a variety of customers. It's not industry specific and it's not just large customers. Today, it's about any business that wants to engage with their customers in different ways across different media channels other than just voice. And that's what we can ultimately deliver with Contact. So before we bring Graham and Steve into the discussion, I think just wanted to cover off that one of the biggest barriers to engaging with people can often be terminology. And there's lots in the contact center industry. You'll hear contact center versus call center, CCaaS versus UCaaS, multi-channel versus omni-channel, AI, lots of different terminology. And what's even more confusing is different vendors call the same things different things. So in the end user customer's eyes, it's even more confusing because they're comparing apples with oranges sometimes. So what we need to do is help simplify this for them and make it nice and easy. So as much as these are relevant, I think we believe that if you zone in on the customer's problems, what we can do to solve those pain points, we can help them grow, achieve their goals, then I think we make the sale easy and understandable for that customer. So I've mentioned the customer a lot, so I think customer experience is a good place to start for our first discussion, really. Technology is only part of the solution. So going to bring in Steve here. How would you define customer experience and why is that so important today?
I think it's interesting what you've just said there, Ed, and for me, Contact for Apex Cloud is amazing because it's one of the few products that is not a niche product. You can sell this to any customer who's got customers, which basically is the majority of the people we're selling to. And most organizations really, when they're looking at the whole customer experience side of it, it's really how they plan the customer journey, how they actually take into account the various component parts when they're planning an effective customer journey. So you'll hear that term quite a lot when you talk to customers, the customer journey leading to customer experience. And I think from our perspective, we see our role in the technology role is central to bringing together the customer. It's the customer, the employee, and the business objectives. So it's creating a balance that meets the demands of your customers, the demands of your employees, but also underpins what it is the business is trying to actually achieve. And technology sits right slap bang in the middle of that, tying all of these three things together. And that's why I think that Contact for Apex Cloud is so important, because it provides that glue in the middle, if you like, to tie all these together to lead to what is, the ideal and perfect customer experience. Having said that, I mean, in our own experience, I mean, CEOs and business owners don't just wake up one morning and suddenly over their breakfast cornflakes suddenly decide, you know what, today I'm going to go in the office, I'm going to buy new technology and change everything. There's always a catalyst which dictates the change, and that catalyst can be a variety of different things depending on the businesses. I mean, everybody knows COVID and the catalyst that COVID did to businesses and how that changed the whole customer experience through everything that was involved in COVID. But they can also be smaller changes, like it could be political changes, a change in government, it could be a change in the competitive landscape. There's lots and lots of different things that can be the catalyst for change, and that is therefore where the technology still has to underpin the customer, the employee, and the business objectives and bring all of those together. I give you a classic example of a customer of ours in Scotland, and they took on board a product because they changed the regulation from who they used to be regulated by to being regulated by the FCA, the Financial Conduct Agency. And what that actually meant is they had a whole series of new measurements and monitoring tools they had to put in place to achieve the FCA rules and guidelines. And frankly, the technology they had at the time just wasn't able to do that. So that was the catalyst to actually looking at what is causing the change. So it's very, very important that the more we understand the customer's business and what catalysts are impacting and causing change, means that when we present our solution to that potential customer, it actually fits perfectly into what they're trying to achieve. So I guess that the answer is that make sure that the technology that we propose brings all these three things together and delivers what the customer wants, our customer, for their customers. I hope that makes sense.
Great, thanks, Steve. And I think what we also need to do, we've spent time understanding what we need to do from a customer point of view. I think we need to look at really is the impact of failing to recognise the importance of that. So Graham, bring you in here and just sort of, if we can discuss the point, what's the impact of failing to do that?
Sure. Hi, good morning, everyone. So yeah, I think failure is quite an emotive word, isn't it? I think probably what we're talking about here is that oftentimes through this evolution, I think people are going to hear a few sort of words that will kind of stick throughout the course of these presentations. It's about evolution, evolving your business. It's about the evolution of the landscape, the customer, the requirements. And therefore, we as businesses also need to evolve. We need to think about how we take our business forward to meet the needs of our customer. And it's kind of that ethereal bend in the road, isn't it? If we fail to take the bend. And I think this is about understanding as your business, as your customers' landscape changes, so too do you need to change. And the old adage, if you're not talking to your customer, somebody else is so true. So I think as your customers' businesses evolve, as things act upon them, we too need to consider how we take that bend with them. The ability to keep in line, in step with your customer, ensures that other word that we're looking at, a degree of stickiness, if you can grow with the customer. So the whole notion of land and expand, I think, is really important. And I guess underpinning that also is as you consider the changes you're making in your business, it's really important to make sure that you partner with organizations that can help you on that journey. So one of the things we're really committed to is to be a partner. So really partner with you to help you on the journey. All the stuff you can't do is probably the stuff we can do. So, it's about helping you evolve too, in order to stay at the table and be relevant to your customer.
Thank you, Graham. It goes back to the point at the beginning, exactly why we've added all these products to the portfolio is as the customers evolve, we want to make sure we've got the options on the table to allow our partners to grow with your customers. So thank you.
Yeah, I think it's quite Darwinian, isn't it? It's one of those things where the race is to the most adaptable, and I think this is the key here. You're in a position to offer your partners the ability to adapt. It's up to them to get on board.
Exactly, and I think if we can understand what's going on in a business, we can allow for that change. I think cost, certainly in a lot of these solutions I've been involved in, cost becomes less of an issue. If we can show how the technology is going to make a business more efficient, and perhaps the default notion of I need to go out and recruit more staff isn't necessarily the case. If we can make the current staff more efficient, work happier, work smarter, then I think there's a lot to be said for that. So, I mean, Steve, bringing you back in here is how would you, go to start to uncovering that problem that helps us then provide the solution?
I think it's fascinating. I think too many people get tied up in trying to sell the technology and the features and the functions of their technology. And I think going back to what I've said earlier, I think it's vital that you understand the business you're selling into. I mean, we're familiar with the term pain points. We need to find out the pain points of that business to be effectively selling solutions to that. So if we don't know what the problem is, how can we deliver a solution, Ed? So I think from our point of view, it's key to find the pain points. And to be fair, they're usually linked to 4 or 5 different things. They'll either be linked to functionality, they'll be linked to a degree of integration, quite often usability, cost, or the general support they receive. So it's all about, again, going back to people don't change for the sake of change, they change for a reason. So we need to understand what is the pain point that they're experiencing that allows us then to present our solution to address that problem, which I think is very, very important. Equally, we need to understand who is driving that project in that customer. You want to be the person who's engaging with the finance director or the sales director or the customer service director. Who is the person who's actually driving that? You don't want to be the organization that just gets a note from the IT director saying, could you give me some prices for this, please? Because that means somebody else is driving the agenda. So let's us drive the agenda by understanding what the pain points are and then focusing on these. And again, linking back to what's the catalyst for change. That's, I think, what we should do. We should always understand the problem before we propose a solution.
Thanks, Steve. Anything to add, Graham, before we go on to talk about the users?
No, I think just to kind of shine the light on what Steve was saying there. I think it's learning to evolve as well, learn to ask better questions. But actually, I think it's critical to understand the world that your customers are operating in. So, through that engagement, through those better questions, good listening, you'll definitely identify the areas that the customer's having pain in. Good example of this, we were on a call only a couple of days ago. First thing we asked the customer was, tell us a bit about your business, and they spewed out a whole range of things that were causing them issues today that we could help them with. So yeah, ask good questions and listen well.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, if I could just add another point there that perhaps is relevant to that as well, is that when we're presenting a solution, there's always an incumbent supplier, and the only reason we're presenting our solution is for some reason that incumbent supplier is not delivering the solution. So again, when we're actually proposing our solution, let's try and set the agenda. Let's understand our strengths and present our strengths, and therefore set the agenda. Let's not allow our competitors to set the agenda, and then we have to try and trade on what they've established as the requirements. So again, it's let's all set the scene.
That's a really good point. And I think one thing that we definitely can't forget is the employees either. I think we focus a lot on the impact of customer experience, but be foolish not to recognise the users or the employees that are actually using this technology and that are employed to do the job that uses it. And I think the technology must be easy for them to use, must be user friendly to enhance their experience. I think one stat that I really like that we've had from Daktela is that employees work 20% better when motivated, which can increase productivity by 21%. That's huge. If we can make this technology easy to use and improve what the people do, then that ticks all the boxes all round. And I think one of the early contact opportunities I went to with a partner was to see a business that was about to bring in 2 new members of staff. They had incredibly busy email inboxes, often overnight, out of hours, just for the nature of what they did. Emails were stacking up. They weren't being dealt with properly. People were avoiding the difficult to deal with emails. So their knee-jerk reaction was, well, we need to bring on 2 new members of staff that are going to deal with this at quite an expensive cost. And as soon as we presented to them what we could do with the email integration and some of the automation that sits in Contact for IPEX Cloud, alarm bells sort of light bulbs came on. It was a moment where they thought, actually, do we really need to employ 2 new people? Perhaps not. We can actually work smarter with the people we've got. Yeah. And employing this solution is going to be cheaper than going out and recruiting 2 new people to help do that. So I think, other than managing medias in one place, for example, Steve, which we'll talk about in a minute, how else can we enhance that user experience with Contact?
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. I mean, there's a very simple adage we've all worked to, which is, happy employees often means happy customers, and that's why they're more productive, because we're all the same. If we enjoy doing what we do, we're going to do it better. If we hate doing what we do you know what? We're not going to do it very well. And I don't think anybody can argue with that simple point. I think in the environment that we're operating in, certainly with Contact for IPEX Cloud, users, you have to be very careful with users, because users per se don't often embrace change. We've all been there where there's the user who sits there and they've been using the same device for the last 5 years, and the last thing they do is they don't want to change. They will say, well, hang on my old system I used to press that green button and it did this, and on this system the green button doesn't work, there isn't a green button. So it's very important that you get the users or the employees who are using the system to embrace the change, because they can kill a project stone dead. They rarely get the project off the ground, but they can kill it. Although I would say that there's a lovely reference, and I know you're referring to it a bit later on with the travel company that we worked with. And I've been to site there a couple of times, and prior to the system going live, the users were so excited, I mean, genuinely excited about the prospect of this new technology coming in, because it was addressing a lot of the issues they had. And by addressing those issues, they were looking forward to it, and they couldn't literally wait for it to go live and start operating. And we want to get to that stage where you've got the users are really excited about it, and then when you deliver it, it delivers on all the promises that you've actually made to them. That's, to me, is key.
Absolutely, and we'll talk about those couple of case studies and user experiences in a few minutes as well. I think to summarise this part of the presentation before we talk a little bit more about the product, I think that the key messages coming over from Steve and Graham there are to research the business prior to the meeting. Using Graham's example, ask about their business. So it's not all about us. Ask about their business, and we can then identify their pain points and what we can do to address those, really, which will help us identify the right solution to put in place. It'll attach value to the sale, so it will drive a higher value sale for all of us, and it makes that customer more sticky, as we said. And that's the thing. If we can make the customer more sticky, they'll grow with you and they'll become a valuable customer of yours for a long time. And in the last part of the presentation today, we're just going to go a little bit more into the product and give you some case study examples of ones that we've already deployed with Daktela's help. So you heard me use the phrase omni-channel versus multi-channel earlier on in the presentation. So what is omni-channel and multi-channel, and why is omni-channel the right way forward? Well, an omni-channel solution is a single software platform that combines and manages all of your customer interactions in one place. Whereas multi-channel, you have all these different methods of communication, but they're not together in one place. So you can see the stat on the screen there. Omni-channel definitely, increases customer retention compared to multi-channel. It is the right way to do it, and happy to say that the Daktela contact solution is a full omni-channel solution. So what are those different channels that we can operate with using contact? So one of the other reasons that we wanted to work with Daktela was it's a modular product. So there are some products out there that you'll be familiar with where it's an all or nothing license. So you consume one quite expensive license and you get access to everything the product can do. But certainly all the contact opportunities I've been involved in so far, that's not the case. The customers like the flexibility of being able to pick and choose who uses what. So you can see on the screen here, obviously there's voice. So there's a big voice element to contact, but we can also deliver email integration, SMS, and that can be one way or two way. So it can allow complete interaction with SMS or just push out messages that the end user can't reply to. There's social media, so we can interact with Facebook Messenger and Instagram direct messaging. There's full Teams integration, and the Daktela product is an approved application that you can add via Teams. There's WhatsApp integration, so we can integrate fully with WhatsApp to business accounts. And there's web chat as well. So there's a whole array of different media channels that we can work with. And what's nice is on a per user basis, the customers can pick and choose. So if they were going with voice plus WhatsApp, it doesn't have to be everybody is WhatsApp. They can pick and choose which users manage which types of media. And talking about that user and employee experience, everything is managed in one place. So you can see here the image on screen at the top left there. All the different media channels that that particular agent has access to are available at the top of the screen. The ones that they aren't wouldn't be there, and they can manage all of those medias in one place. We can also work on any device. So if the customer prefers to use a good old-fashioned hard phone, IPEX phone, they can use one of those. They can use a soft client. There's a mobile app, as you can see there. Whatever device the user and the employee wants to use, we can accommodate. I think the key thing also is all the different interactions with a customer across different media channels are accessed in one place. So if someone in the business has communicated with that customer on WhatsApp, someone else has on web chat, and someone else has on the phone, they'll all be there, all transcribed for you to view easily and clearly. So a couple of case studies now of two that we've deployed recently in the UK. And they're both at different ends of the size spectrum. And I think the one on the right, I'm going to start with the electrical wholesalers. That really epitomizes a point we made at the beginning about not all contact centers are large and complex. And there's a lot of what we would describe as non-contact center customers looking for contact features. And this was a prime example. So this was a small business, 7 users, a 2-site electrical wholesalers. And their problem, their challenge, if you like, was that they wanted to provide easier ways for their customers to order stuff from them. So they're working with electricians that are often on site doing renovations, doing all sorts of different jobs. And the only previous method they had to place orders was either to take time out their day to walk into the wholesalers and place the order, or to phone up and do it over the phone. Often, speaking to their customers, they were fed back, it'd be much easier if I could just send you a WhatsApp and say, can I have 5 of these and 10 of those, and I'll be here at 3 o'clock to pick it up. Or they could send that as an SMS or an email. So actually, this 7-user electrical wholesaler business went for the full top license that we offer, which allowed them to integrate SMS, web chat, Instagram, WhatsApp, email, all into one place. So whatever preferred method their customers would like to use to contact them, they had access to that. And the key bit is all of those orders, however they were placed, are all fully transcribed and saved against that customer record. So all the history is there, and it's really easy for the customers to use and for the users to manage. So it was tick the boxes all round. The second customer, totally different in terms of size. This is a business that has over 100 users. They're a luxury travel business, so provide high-end holidays to their clients, and they open quite interesting hours. They're open till 9 or 10 p.m. most nights, and they're open 7 days a week. And this is because they often want to interact with professionals who are booking holidays when they've finished work. So it might be that they're on the train on the way home from work early evening, and they want to talk to their travel agent about booking their next holiday. So their primary driver was making that easy for their customers to do. So they have taken a mix of voice, WhatsApp, and Instagram, as you can see on the screen there. But they've mixed the users. So although all the users are voice, they're only rolling WhatsApp out to about 25% of the users, and they're rolling Instagram out to another 25% of the users. So different people will manage different media channels and become the expert in those communication channels with their customers. But we replaced a contact center solution in previously that could only do voice. So we were enhancing their communication with their customers and allowing these other media channels. And I'm sure we'll add more in the future. As Steve said, they've been really excited to get using this technology over the last few weeks. So just before we finish, just wanted to summarize by saying that the other point for Contact for iPECS Cloud is it's fully integrated. So Ericsson, LG and Daktela worked hard to make sure that this product is fully integrated. So what do we mean by that? So using our office, we're a classic example. Our tech support, our orders and our provisioning teams are contact users. They use Contact for iPECS Cloud. But the rest of us in sales and marketing and finance, we're not. But there's full back office presence. So if somebody in our orders and provisioning team takes a call for somebody in our sales team, they have full presence of that user's availability and can then transfer the call accordingly. And it's certainly something that you don't get with all solutions out there. It's future-proofed. So I've mentioned AI briefly on this webinar today. The second webinar that we'll talk about on the next slide is going to be focused more around AI and how the product's evolving to change it as the future evolves. As you saw, it's a true omni-channel solution. It's customizable and flexible, so we can add new channels when your customers are ready to do so, and it's scalable. You've seen from the 2 examples we gave you, it can work for your 7 extension electrical wholesaler to your 140 user luxury travel business. It really is scalable from a few users to several hundred users. So just to remind you, if you haven't already signed up, the second webinar in the series, which is going to be hosted by our product manager, Andy Herring, and Steve and Graham, who joined us today, is matching the product to the problem. So we've talked a lot about the problems today and identifying that. So the next session will be more product focused on how we can solve those problems. That's on the 14th of March at 10:30. So hopefully you can sign up for that and join us for that. So just before we finish, just wanted to open it up to any questions. So I know, Helen, you've been monitoring the questions. Have we got any questions to cover?
There is one there at the minute, which Andy Spree has asked if the user interface has changed. I think he was looking at the slide that you had with a picture of the interface, which I know isn't a screenshot as such, but I wonder if you could just cover that one.
Yeah, so the slide, Steve, that we had that showed an image of an iPhone with the Daktela application on it, and it also showed a screenshot from a PC. I think that's a mock-up image, loosely showing how it looks really when it's in. So I don't think it's changed from day one. I think that's a mock-up image to just get the message across.
Yeah, effectively, you're 100% correct there. It's to show all the functionality that's on the screen on the mobile application. More than happy to, as appropriate, if Andy wants to see the actual application in live operation, more than happy to present that to them.
Perfect, thank you. I was just replying, yeah, he's seen it. I remember doing a demo with Andy, actually. Yeah, so he's seen it a while ago. I think he was just worried it had changed.
No.
Just a marketing image, Andy, to make it look a bit more jazzy.
Yeah. Could I just add one point?
Yeah.
I think it was. I just wanted to add more to what was said by Ed. There was that the two examples that were shown, I think, were fascinating, because one addressed a traditional contact center user who's got 140 users using traditional voice, email, and limited functionality, and yet the other one was somebody who's never been a contact center company in their lives, and if you ever approached them and said, "Oh, would you like to look at contact center technology?" they'd have probably said, "No, we're not a contact center user." And I think it's important to understand that a lot of the functionality that's associated with a contact center can be transposed to any business to help them manage their customer interactions. And you definitely do not have to be a contact center to take advantage of some of the functionality that's available on the system. In fact, quite often, the smaller customers are the ones that are more complex, because there are a low number of people, but they use all of the functionality, whereas the larger operations will be more traditional in what they're using the technology for. So I think that both examples, Ed, were perfect examples to everybody about where this fits in the portfolio and how we can sell this to different customers. I just wanted to make that point.
No, absolutely. And we've been involved in a lot of demonstrations, and there's a lot of opportunities in the pipeline, and they're across a variety of different industries, and they start from as small as 5 users. So yeah, it really does, send that message home that it can be any customer really, and they're 2 perfect examples. So it doesn't look like, looking in the chat, we've got any more questions today. So just wanted to say thank you, Steve and Graham, for joining. Hold on, there is a question there. Might this service be available for UCP users? Potentially, yes. Being totally honest, we prioritise this to be launched on cloud, because 90% of our sort of new business sales going forward now are cloud. So we prioritise that. I don't know if Andy, our product manager, is still on the line. If he is, how far we are down? There you are. UCP, Andy. Are we planning to look at it on UCP in the future?
Yeah, there are plans, Ed, but I think you've just summarised it really. The priority and the focus was on cloud really. So it's about just being able to schedule it into to our testing. So I think that's going to be one of those we'll have to follow up and give some more information further down the line, I'm afraid.
Okay. And we've got one more question that's just come in. Is there a minimum number of users? No, there isn't really a minimum number of users. Yeah, 1, exactly. Yeah. And although we talked about the smallest one we've deployed so far being 7 users, we've certainly quoted smaller than that. So yeah, 1 user could be the minimum really. Excellent. Well, it doesn't look like there's any more. When I said that last time,
Every
2
time
questions quickly came in. Yeah, but I don't think there's any more. So if there isn't, just wanted to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to join us, and hopefully you can join Andy, Steve and Graham on the one in a couple of weeks' time. And yes, Steve, Graham, thank you for your time as well.
Pleasure. Thanks, Ed. Impressed with your knowledge, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.